Well, as Moscow gears up for Victory Day celebrations, international leaders have been received at the Kremlin. Ahead of the victory parade today, Russian President Vladimir Putin held talks with Chinese leader Xi Jinping, praising bilateral ties and vowing further cooperation. Dasha Chernyshova has more from Russia. Dasha, good morning to you.
Hello indeed. So Moscow is in full countdown mode, and we understand the parade will be starting in a matter of just hours. It is a very important, a very symbolic event for all of the Russians, but this year Moscow will also be hosting at least 20 international leaders who have already gathered in the Russian capital. That's in a sign of defying the attempt to isolate Russia. A very important event, and undoubtedly Moscow wants to spread the word that Russia stands shoulder to shoulder with other countries who support its vision of the world and who are eagerly also fighting Nazism. So the Russian president will be addressing the nation as well as the parade in Red Square. When this parade is taking place, he will be delivering a speech sitting next to those international leaders who will be attending this military parade. And also a very important spectacle, we will see this military hardware going through the streets of the Russian capital. There are many people who typically gather everywhere in the Russian streets, in the streets of the Russian capital, to see this military hardware, because you can see not only tanks, you can also see Iskander missile launchers complexes and all of those devices that people typically hear about on the screens, but then they will have an opportunity to see them with their own eyes and display of Russia's modern military might.
All right, we look at this one, and what we're hearing is this is going to be one of the biggest shows when we talk to the victory parade, and this comes at a time with a backdrop of what's happening in the Ukraine and many other global issues. You mentioned that there will be leaders from maybe 20 nations. That perhaps you can talk us through who is expected to be attending, just to show allegiance to Russia.
Well, the prime guest is Chinese President Xi Jinping. With him, President Vladimir Putin held numerous hours of discussions on the eve of this Victory Day parade. They have signed many documents. Then there will be Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva also attending, and we have heard the Kremlin saying that they will also be touching upon the issues related to Ukraine's settlements. We are also expecting many African leaders, the presidents of Ethiopia, the presidents of the Republic of Congo, Denis Sassou Nguesso, will also be attending. We know that South Africa will be represented by the defense minister, and obviously there will be many leaders of the Commonwealth of Independent States, all joining the Russian president in the Red Square. But undoubtedly the Russian president is going to hold numerous discussions with all of those leaders. At least 15 bilateral meetings are expected to be held, but also on top of that, for the Kremlin, that there will be many meetings on the margins of those commemorative events, and the leaders among themselves, they will also have an opportunity to hold bilateral meetings. So it is becoming a venue for the international leaders to talk. There has been a lot of criticism as well, saying that this is the show of defiance and that this is the parade of the pariahs. So a lot of criticism has come from the West as well, but what matters for Moscow is that there are international leaders who are willing to celebrate this very important day in Russia's history here in Red Square.
Dasha, before I let you go, I know that one of the main issues under the spotlight, of course, was the fact that Putin had said that he'd like to have a ceasefire with Ukraine for about whatever, I think it was 8 days. Ukraine responding, saying no, there's no guarantees that they won't hit Moscow, and I imagine that this is a massive security presence for this Victory Day celebration, with threats coming from all rounds. So what is it looking like in terms of that? I know that Zelensky had proposed a 30-day ceasefire, but that doesn't look like it's happening either. So perhaps talk to us very quickly about the security around this event.
Well, indeed, Moscow has proposed 3-day ceasefire to begin from May 8 to last till May 10. The Ukrainian side has rejected that. Moscow still has introduced it and says it is upholding this ceasefire, accusing Ukraine of violations. But security is indeed very, very tight. I mean, it is tight every year. But this year, what we have already seen and what we are expecting is the outage of mobile internet. There is no connectivity. That means that people are unable to communicate. First of all, they are unable to navigate because there are many people who have been relying on mobile navigators. They don't know the cities themselves and they are relying on those services. ATMs are not working. There have been collapses when it comes to deliveries. So all those issues that are connected to this mobile connectivity have been really hampered. And we are also being told that perhaps during the hours of the parade there will be the outage of mobile connectivity at all. So it will be impossible even to place the calls or to send short messages. And this is something that is definitely disrupting the lives of many people, because that will last for a few hours and they say it's going to be a sort of Armageddon. But at the same time, what the Kremlin is saying, that people have to be patient because such large-scale event needs this sort of security. We also have been seeing some pictures of big lorries being located at the exit from the Russian capital, so that if needed they can really quickly block the roads. So security is indeed very, very tight. But prior to this parade, we have seen hundreds of Ukrainian drones targeting multiple Russian regions, including capital Moscow.
All right, let's leave it there for now. Dasha Chernyshova from Moscow talking to us about this, the Victory Day celebration. Just to give you background on this, this is, of course, the Soviet triumph against Nazi Germany 80 years ago. And many saying this is also being used to highlight Russia's past glories and justify the war with Ukraine.